are you going to look for a house again?
Hey, Facebook. Happy Monday. Hope everybody had a great Easter weekend. Ricky's back.
Pam's am back.
And then all here for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm here.
At least. So we are going to get rolling with listener questions. So if you have a question, put that in the comments below. And
we'll I can't see any of the comments or anything today, Mike. Oh, boo.
It's acting weird. I'll read them. It's fine.
Okay. Well, now it's showing up.
Hey, Facebook. By the way, happy Monday.
Whoa.
That was weird. All right.
What was that?
It's exploding.
So we good? Are we on here? I got two. Let us know if you're tuned in and where you're watching or listening from, and we'll get rolling.
This is bizarre today. I don't know what's going on.
Well, you can't see it?
No, I can. I see that they're. Yeah. Okay, we're good now. Okay.
Jeff's here.
I think there's just a really big delay today for me, which is weird.
Yeah, Be Live's been acting strange. Hey, James. Hey, Bob. Jeff. Okay.
Yeah, you have 89 more days in your standard subscription, Mike Rallman.
It says that. Yeah. I gotta read it. That's 3 months. That gives us time. Like at first, I was like, and then I was like, that's 3 months.
That's 3 months. Yeah, they're like, get in now, and you're like, wait a minute, that's.
I'd wait closer to the thing because Be Live. I don't know how long. I mean, I think they're going to be around, but it's one of those things that could go away. So I wouldn't do it until a week before. All right. Hey, Marietta, Georgia. Sprinkles. I speak to the Sprinkles.
Right down around the corner, Miss Jackie.
Upstate New York, Jacksonville. Okay, here we go. New York. We're big in New York.
Woo.
All right. Whoa. Okay. Here we're at 1476. Let's do it. Welcome to episode 1476 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Wednesday to you. We hope that everybody had an awesome Easter weekend or Passover, whatever you were celebrating this past week. I'll tell you what, it was gorgeous here in the Midwest. We could not have had better weather. Paige was home from a zoo. The whole family was together. We had the extended family over to the house on Sunday. So great times were had. It's those times that you need to really treasure. I had a great weekend, so hope you did as well. And just glad to have the entire crew. Speaking of family, we're all here. We are excited to have that today. So joining me today from DisneyWorldAfterAll.com, TouringPlans.com, and the Mouse for Less. And she's going to be the star of the show on Friday. We have Rikki. Rikki, what's going on? Welcome back.
Bonjour. That's all I got. I'm not.
Oui.
Literally.
Wait. Did Brian? Oui. At 17 or no? We don't know. What did he do? Did he finish?
We have a story.
Save it for Friday, I guess.
Save it for Friday. Yeah, we have a story. Let's just go with that. Yes.
Okay. All right. So real quick though, I mean, good trip. Was it as great as you were expecting? I know you're super excited to go to Europe.
It was a very good trip. Yes, we had a great time. Still can't believe I've now been to Europe. But yeah, it was a great time. I did a lot of really cool things that I never thought I'd do in my life. And yeah, it was awesome. It was really good.
All righty. Also joining us, we have the co-owner of the Magic for Less Travel, Pam Forrester. Pam, was it as beautiful in Pennsylvania as here in the Midwest over Easter? Because you always complain. So did we get some nice weather there too? Because when I watch the Pirates, sometimes that sky and that stadium looks like it's a postcard.
We had a nice day on Saturday.
Just day.
Well, Sunday was horrible. So Saturday we had a nice day. So we're very thankful for the nice day. But yeah, Sunday was kind of cold and rainy. Like it was like Saturday, you needed the air conditioning on. Sunday, you needed the heat on. So I mean, it was really that crazy. So anyways, but today is beautiful too. So
amen. Hey, I want to get this out there because I know that you are headed to Walt Disney World even before I am. We'll be down there at the same time, but you're going a little bit before me for a conference where you're going to be sharing some knowledge on the social media. So we want to make sure that we get everybody following you on Insta and Twitter. So throw that out there so everybody can follow today as they're listening.
Well, so on Insta and Twitter, I'm TMFLTPM. I don't post much on Twitter. Like every now and then, like the stuff that goes on my Insta goes up. And the other place I post is on Facebook. And I know people either love or hate Facebook, but it's there. So if you look for Pam Forrester, I'll come up. But yes, I am TMFLTPM on the Insta. So yes, I know. And I get to do some cool stuff. Like we're the 30th anniversary of the Hollywood studio stuff. And we're going to be doing lots of fun stuff. They have a kind of a packed schedule for us, so looking forward to that.
Awesome. All right, so follow along for all the fun coming up this weekend. All right, let's get to the first question of the day. That's why you are here, and it is from Sarah. It says, hello, I'm planning my second mother-daughter trip for the first week of May. My daughter's priority is seeing Happily Ever After. We're going to the Magic Kingdom after hours event, and I have an after fireworks dessert party that night to guarantee a good spot. Fireworks are at 9. The after hours event starts at 10. Does this give us enough time to see the fireworks, then get desserts before 10 o'clock? I don't want to miss any of the Disney after hours time. Is the dessert party worth it, or should I cancel? Thanks for all you guys do. I truly appreciate it. Sarah. All right, so Pam, basically she's doing, the dessert party and the after hours event. Again, I think we're going to have different perspectives on this because I'm super cheap and I'm saying that's a pretty expensive night. But I mean, it's really kind of an ultimate Disney experience night, but you're going to get, like Mickey bars and stuff at the after hours event. So I don't know that I would need desserts at the party. You are getting a great spot for Happily Ever After, but maybe a little shuffling, a little time given up, and you're golden. I would say cancel the dessert party in this instance, but what say you?
Yeah, I will lean toward canceling it, but I will tell you this. My husband in particular is such a fan of the dessert party that I don't know that I'm going to see Happily Ever After without doing the dessert party again for the rest of my life. It's just honestly the like relief of not having to stand there and just get your spot, so far in advance and wait for Happily Ever After, with 8 million of your closest friends jammed right around Walt's statue. is really a nice thing. So that's really the benefit of it. No, I'm making it sound worse than it is. 9 times out of 10, it's really not that bad. But it was just really so nice to be able to do it. And the other thing about the dessert party is that even if you're in the rose garden part of it, you can sit on the grass there. The grass, I'll quote that because it's not really grass, but you can sit on the grass, and that's a nice feature too. I think all of us have been in that position where we've been standing for either a parade or fireworks, and we're fairly certain we may have gone numb from the waist down. So,
shake it out every 20 minutes.
I think I've helped Mike stand up from the curb at one point.
With every dopey challenge, it takes me longer and longer to get off the ground.
I think there were children pushing you. There were people pulling you. There was a lot of stuff going on now. But anyways, so that's really a nice thing about the dessert party too. And we found, the desserts were nice, but we really enjoyed like the cheeseburger egg rolls. Those were great. The spinach dip and cheese cubes. So there was stuff, savory stuff too. So I love that they're doing that too. So, but you do want to really maximize your time with those after hours events. So,
Yep. All right. Next question for Rikki. Here we go. Teresa's in the chat. I'm taking 2 kids for a half day at Epcot. If you had to pick what things to do, what would you do? I know we won't get to everything. They are 6, and I can't see the other one's age, but I'm guessing younger than 6. So what would kind of be an ultimate half day at Epcot for the younger set, like basically like kindergarten, like preschool age, I'm guessing?
It looks like 6 and 4. It looks like what she said. So we're good there. So obviously you want to do things like, I think, the Seas with Nemo, you got Turtle Talk with Crush there, which is so much fun. Make sure your kiddos have a question in mind for a Crush. We actually did something very similar at Walt Disney Studios Paris, but it features Stitch. So it's a very similar show. They do almost the exact same thing, but it features that lovable 626 character. And they do it in English and French, so you can choose which option you go to. Yeah, which is kind of fun. So definitely do that. I would obviously, I think one of the fun things, seriously, the thing that I think is so much fun for little kiddos like that is to do the KidCot Fun Stop stations, which I think that's what they're still called at this point. But, they do the things where you get the little card. Now they're postcards, and you can go around to each country and you can color on the back of the postcard, and then you can get a stamp, and they'll tell you, like, they'll doodle something on the card too to kind of signify, like whether it means hello or, you know, whatever. I think that's a great little learning experience for the younger set. I really, really love that idea. And let's see, you've got the play area in the Imagination Pavilion. You've got the meet and greet there with Ralph and Vanellope. You've got the meet and greets with Baymax and Joy and Sadness, and the ones with Mickey, Minnie, and Goofy there too, with character spots. So those are just a few of the things that I think are great for kiddos at Epcot, just off the top of my head.
No, I agree. I mean, I think the kids aren't going to remember the you know, if you can get a fast pass for Frozen Ever After, awesome. You know, maybe the Seas with Nemo and Friends, that's an easy one. But I think the thing with that age, you got to keep them moving. Like they don't want to wait in any lines. They get crazy. So you're right. Go around the countries because you don't have to wait for any of that, you know, and have the experiences, the interactions. I totally agree.
And don't forget to see the Grand Fiesta Tour in Mexico too, because that's usually a short line.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, good call. All right, Sergio's got a question that I've been getting a couple times here in the inbox about the gift cards that you can get at the resorts for declining mousekeeping. This did not happen when I was down for my trip in for Princess in February. Pam, have you heard anything? Maybe, I mean, but I think it's random. Sometimes they have it up, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, I agree, and it's absolutely only available, I believe, at the value and moderates. I don't think for the deluxe resorts, you don't have that option. They don't offer it as an option. So that may be as well. The deluxe villas as well, they don't offer it as an option. And you can always ask about it when you check in to see if they're still going to do it, and then they'll give you the most current information there.
All righty. How about a question from Tracy in the chat? If we make a July reservation at Toledo's, will we be able to see the Epcot fireworks? And when does the Three Bridges Bar and Grill open? And that's the Disney's Coronado Springs Resort.
Mm-hmm.
Rikki, have you heard anything on that?
On the opening of the Three Bridges, I haven't heard like anything concrete. I would expect probably when the Grand Destino Tower opens in July, but then again, I mean, who knows? They may have a setback or two. You know, we just don't know until Disney officially says, "Hey, guess what? We're opening." So that unfortunately, I don't have any information, but besides potentially July. And as far as the view from now I'm getting all these restaurants confused.
I know, right?
New ones that are coming. Topolino, is that it? Is that what she said? Toledo's. See, there's Topolino coming too. They all have similar names. So Toledo's, I think that one does have the view of Illuminations, so, or whatever nighttime spectacular will be at Epcot at some point.
It'll be Illuminations in July.
Yeah, July it'll be Illuminations, but you know, moving forward.
All right, next. What about, we saw that story reported this week in the Orlando Sentinel about the gondolas. You know, they gave us some details, seating 10 up to 11 miles per hour. Pam, how excited? I mean, I am seriously super pumped for these things now. Like, I just want to give one of these, the TTA, one more time around. I know you can't because they're going to be crazy busy, but I mean, like, I'm so pumped for these. I mean, did that not get you pumped when you saw the details in that story?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really thinking a lot about how this is going to, you know, how people are going to want to experience this just to experience it.
It's an attraction. It's like
absolutely. And I'm like looking at you, Pop Century, Art of Animation at Caribbean Beach. Like, how quickly are your prices going to go up for next year?
My goodness, yes.
That's where Mike Rollman is staying for Marathon Weekend next year, because I mean, just think about it, because I always walked back to the Epcot Air Resorts, and now hopefully, I mean, if I know there's going to be a line, don't get me wrong, it's going to be crazy, but I can hop right through Epcot, boom, International Gateway, get on a gondola, chill out. I'll be locked up by the time I get to Pop Century. I won't be able to get off the thing. I'll have to shut the system down because it's going to be a little bit of a long ride, and it only takes about 10 minutes to seize after a marathon. But I mean,
and then you'll hear Mike yelling and screaming on the gondola, and everybody will be like, "What is wrong with that man?" Yeah,
they'll hear me all the way to the studios, and they'll hit the button to shut the whole system down. They'll get me off, but I mean, other than that, it seems like a great way to do Marathon Weekend.
No, I mean, I think that there's going to be lots of positive things about that. And the most is going to be, as well, is that something that we haven't talked about is that's going to free up some bus transportation that's going to be available for other resorts too,
Yeah.
because those resorts won't need quite as much, the folks going to those locations. So I am excited about it. I think they're adorable, the cars. I mean, I think that they're really fun and exciting. I picture kids like wanting to ride in, each of the different colors. I mean, it's going to be that kind of thing, right? You're going to keep track of it like people do with the monorails. Which monorail's coming next?
Mhm.
What color car are we going to ride in next? Or who's going to be the character on it? So looking forward to it. And I love the improvements that they're making in this space.
I can't wait so much. And that's the thing I love about Disney. And I just got to throw this in here real quick because I was thinking about this afternoon. I have MLB Network on TV all day while I'm working. I watch all the shows and
No.
you know what? I like them all except the ones with the nerds that try to ruin baseball with all the stats and all the sabermetrics. Can't stand MLB now, but other than that, great channel. That was just my little aside. But the one thing that they have on MLB Network, they always have Walt Disney World commercials. Like they're in there about every half hour. And I will tell you this, and I mean, we've known this as hardcore Disney fans. I'm speaking to our listeners. I mean, like, how many times have I seen a Walt Disney World commercial? And I mean, every day, all day. What do I do for a living? I'm working on the Disney systems. I'm talking to Disney. I got Disney in my ear. I'm typing something else out on my computer. It's Walt Disney World or a Disney destination, all day, every day in my life. Yet, I mean, I don't know what it is. It's like crack. Like I hear, like they have that like real soft piano music on this one. It's like a whole new world, kind of a real soft. And like it comes on. Like if it came on right now, I'm like, whoop, squirrel. And like I'm watching that thing every time. I have it memorized. It's the Astro Orbiter at night with like a girl in her day. It's like my life, and like I cannot turn away. I mean, Rikki, are you the same? Like I've been doing this my entire life. Like, and I'm working constantly with Disney, and yet whoop, gotta watch
Absolutely, 100%. When that song, the one that they've been playing all the time, the "Get Your Ears On" song, I love that song, and whenever I hear it, I'm like, yes. I know that you guys added it to Magical Mouse Radio, and every time it comes on, I'm like, turn this sucker up.
It's so crazy. Anyway, I just had to throw that in there because I know everybody's like, yep, you got it. You're not the only one. Like squirrel.
Yep.
Disney? Okay. Here we got a breaking news here. Jeff's going down to Walt Disney World next weekend. First trip as a couple.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, memory maker, buddy, because you got to get those pictures.
For sure.
Right.
For sure.
But he's looking for cute couple pics. So I thought I'd throw this one out to Rikki since she is the queen of the senior picture. But I mean, I guess senior pictures can be a couple pictures too.
They can be. They can be like prom pictures. Gosh, so the one that really comes to my mind, and it's one that you're going to have to wait in line for, but it is the lantern picture outside of the Tangled toilets, because you've got the lantern, it looks like you're pretending to push it up into the sky.
Those are awesome, but they're also core. I mean, those are so
hello,
awesome,
you know that's my
corny.
picture on Facebook, right? Like I've got it, and I'm totally cheesy with it because I'm totally kissing Brian in the picture. Like I was like, when I had it done, I said, this is what I want to do. I want to kiss him. I'm like, I'm pushing that up to the sky. So that's what I had done. Then I had a
72nd time on this show. Brian is a good guy.
Then I had a picture with Kim Taylor included in it too. So, I added Kim Taylor to it. So anyway, yeah.
No, I just say, just every time you see a PhotoPass photographer get pictures,
Yes.
because the thing is, like, even if it's one of the not as exciting spots, and I mean, most of the PhotoPass people are in really photogenic spots, but I mean, if you get somebody that's really into it, they can take some really cool, unexpected shots, even though it might not be under, in front of your favorite icon.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. No, I totally agree too.
All righty, Ashley in the chat. This is kind of I don't know. I guess we're going to take the question, Ashley, but I mean, it's kind of it's a no-brainer here. It says, first time staying in a deluxe resort since the 1990s.
What?
And decided on Animal Kingdom Lodge. Will I be disappointed? Pam, can you ever be disappointed in Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's really a unique resort, not just to Disney World, but to the whole country. There's very few resorts, if you think about it, that you can see things like that. I mean, where else are you going to go and see those giraffe outside your windows? So it's absolutely, you're going to have a great time. Set aside time to enjoy the resort. Of course, they have a gorgeous pool. You can also go over and use the pool at Kidani if you want to do that. But the pool at the main Jumbo House is really a nice big size pool, lots of seating. Make sure you do that. There's so many great dining locations right there at Animal Kingdom Lodge too. Like if you're looking for casual table service, you have Boma, which is the all you care to enjoy buffet. If you're looking for a signature restaurant, you have access to Gigo, which is really a great location. They have a fantastic lounge that kind of overlooks everything going on at Boma. So you got to love that. They have great counter service. I mean, it goes on and on and on from there. And again, if you go over to Kidani, you have some great options there as well. So make sure that you spend some time, I think, in the morning, in the evening. That's when the animals are most active, and you'll be able to see them from your room if you do have a Savannah view. If not, go to one of the viewing areas.
All right. And a big shout out to my friend Carol, who is tuned in from Harambe Village right now. She's one of my great guests over at the Magic for Less and just emailed me about some of the fun times they had at French Quarter. She's over at Beach Club now. Got to travel with her family, and it was just great hearing about it. Just made my weekend. So hang in there and have some, go buy a Flame Tree or go buy Yak and Yeti and have some chicken fried rice for me. That sounds good right now. I don't know why. Or, forget it. Go over to Pandora. Have
yeah, it's like Chili Canteen. What are you talking about?
There's so much good food in that park.
I know. It's crazy.
Spread out the love. Disney, spread out the love.
Right? I know that there's a park that could use it.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, Anna's got the next question. She is in Holland, Michigan. Hi, Mike, Rikki, and Pam. I absolutely love listening to your podcast every day at work. It definitely helps with the Disney blues. I'm traveling back to the world August 23rd, 2019 with my husband and our 3-year-old. We'll be staying at Pop Century for the first time for 11 nights. I have lots planned, like Typhoon Lagoon for the first time, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. I have ADRs for Ohana, California Grill, Crystal Palace, Cinderella's Roll Table, Be Our Guest, Via Napoli, and even Hollywood and Vine with the Fantasmic Show, and many more. I am super excited. Sorry for rambling, but my first question for you guys would be, is Slinky Dog in Mine Train, is it too scary for small kids? My son is currently 38 inches tall, and I'm hoping he'll be 40 inches by the time August rolls around. We want to try to get on as many rides with him as possible. And a second question, what are your tips and tricks for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party? Thanks so much. Please keep up the amazing podcast. Sending magical vibes all the way from Holland, Michigan. All right, so let's tackle the I know Rikki loves the Halloween party. So Pam, give the thoughts on the little guy, 38 inches. Hopefully, let's just assume he'll be 40 inches by August, maybe, if he stretch him over somewhere. I don't know. Make a kid grow faster, give him milk. I don't know. But talk about Slinky Dog and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train for the smaller crowd.
So I think that both of them, for most kids, they both really enjoy. I don't find them to be, kind of scary attractions. I think they're just fun. I mean, they're fun. They're a little thrilling. But I think, as adults, we sort of overthink that sometimes. If your child has been on something in a local amusement park or, has done something like that, I think that they'll really like them. I think one of the things with kids is anticipation, and your child best, but some of them would love to watch a video of it before they go, right? And would find that exciting, and they want to learn more about it, and they like seeing it. And some of them that would terrify them. So I think you might want to consider that. There are some great YouTube channels out there which have videos of the attractions. Of course, there's one for Be Our Guest. Is ours up there?
Yeah, the video from
we rode Slinky Dog.
Yeah, and John just put it on mute so you don't hear Pam screaming. The kid will never get on it.
I think I was kind of screaming and giggling.
You were.
It is funny. That first drop is kind of funny because you tilt in a lot. It wasn't really scary. It was just kind of a weird sensation, I think, more than anything. But I love Slinky Dog. It's absolutely one of my favorite attractions in Walt Disney World right now. And part of it is that it's newer. But part of it is it's just fun. And it's a long attraction. Now, Seven Dwarfs, on the other hand, is not a long attraction. And I don't really think it has anything that I would even call kind of scarier.
Not really.
Except that some kids get really sort of freaked out, going up a hill like that. You know what I mean? But it doesn't even make a lot of noise, and it's so smooth. So I think you're going to be fine for both of those.
So you mentioned these videos the kids can watch now to prepare for the big events in life. Let me tell you the story of my dad and myself, of my first ride. Okay, so we have this park, Six Flags, St. Louis, is in Eureka. It's about 45 minutes from our house here. And we had season passes all growing up. Everybody does, because it's like if you go once, it's like $5 more to go for the whole year. That's it.
Right.
The economics of these season passes at these parks. Anyway, so I must have been, who knows? I'm scarred from this, but I must have been like 6 or 7. But of course I'm tall. I'm 6'3", so I probably was tall enough. My favorite ride at Six Flags was the log ride, like the log thing. You get in the logs, you float around a little bit, and you go up a hill, you go down, splashes, boom, no big deal. Love that ride. So I wanted to ride it one more time. So my dad's like, yeah, we'll go ride it one more time. Well, there's this ride at Six Flags. Now, back in the late 70s and early 80s, it was the tallest, fastest, and longest roller coaster in the world. It was called the Screaming Eagle. Look it up. It used to be the fastest, tallest, and longest roller coaster in the world. It's a big wooden roller coaster. He told me we were in line for the log ride. So I must have been really little or just not paying attention. But so the whole time I'm thinking, yeah, we're doing the log ride. Dude, that thing comes screaming into the station, and it made this sound like an eagle, like it's a brake squeak. It's and I see that eagle on the front of that roller coaster. I'm like, oh, I'm like 6, but right now I'd be saying something as a 45-year-old. We got on that thing. I was holding on for dear life. I thought I was gonna die. That's how my dad parented right there. He's like, and that's kind of how I parent now. So it passed on. Anyway, just had to throw that. Anybody that knows Screaming Eagle, it is not the log ride. It is.
No, it is not.
Terrifying. Anyway, Rikki, real quick, some tips for Mickey's Not So Scary.
Okay, well, you might want to not do what Mike's dad did and do videos. So there's that. Get there early. So that's a big key. You can get in as early as 4:00, and they will take you down this side entrance where there is candy. So they'll give you like your initial bag of little like, it's like they really have prepackaged it in this instance of candy. So make sure you do that. For anybody who does have allergies, they do have allergy friendly bags that they will give you for trick or treating. They are teal. So just grab one of those, and they have some different points that you can go to when you go to the barrels that have the candy, you'll get a token, and then you'll turn the token in at certain points for the allergy friendly candy. So I just like to let people know that, because that's not something a lot of people know. You absolutely, I know it's going to have long lines, but you absolutely have to ride Haunted Mansion on Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party Nights, because they have usually it's Madame Carlotta or Madame Renata or somebody like that out front, who is a ghost who will be out there regaling tales and things like that. So that's a must. You obviously want to make sure you see the parade. It is the best parade in Walt Disney World. Fight me on it. I know a lot of people maybe disagree, but I honestly, that is a parade I will make sure I stop for. I don't stop for any other parades. That one I stop for and make sure I watch. And don't miss the Headless Horseman, because it is definitely a sight to see. Also, don't miss the Cadaver Dans who perform. It's basically, the Dapper Dans, but they are dressed a little
dead.
Spectrally, yes.
Yeah.
If you do want to meet characters, make sure you get in line pick one of the more rare characters, because they do have a number of them, and get in line for that as soon as possible, because those lines do get long, and they get long very fast, and I'm talking like 2 hours long before the party even opens. So make sure if there is a character that you want to meet that's kind of a rare character, get in line for that first. And other than that, I mean, this year I have heard that they're going to have a new fireworks spectacular, so you'll definitely want to catch that, since that will be new, and you're gonna have so much fun. Oh my gosh, I do love Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party so very much.
I'm going this year. I said I was going last year and I didn't. I'm totally going this year.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
All right, so Shelby's got a question about rides included on Keys to the Kingdom tour. When I did it, we did Haunted Mansion.
Yes.
Back there in the Haunted Mansion, they kind of walked us through some of the, before we went in, she prepped us like, okay, in this scene, look for this, and this scene, look for that, because obviously you're not in the same Doom buggy. That'd be kind of crazy to have 16 people in one Doom buggy. It'd be uncomfortable, and it'd be impossible. But we did that one, and I want to say, when I did Marceline to the Magic Kingdom, I know we did Carousel of Progress and the TTA. They talked about that. Did you do it, Rikki? Have you done?
Yeah, I just did it in July, and honestly, all I can think of is Haunted Mansion.
No, I was saying the Marceline to the Magic Kingdom was the other two questions. Yeah.
I haven't done the Marceline the Magic Kingdom one. I just did the Keys to the Kingdom.
I think the only thing we did was Haunted Mansion.
I know we did Haunted Mansion. Yeah.
It was fun. I mean, it's a great tour though, and if you have like an AP or a discount, that thing is a bargain. You should get lunch. I mean, don't say that about a lot of stuff. All right, let's see here. Carrie's got a question. Can you still get the dining plan for all my family members? There's 4 of them. If we only buy 2 of our 4 park tickets, other 2 will be from a rewards program. We would be staying on property. So what you could do there, well, I'm trying to think here. Okay, so you can get the dining plan on what's called a basic package. So you get a room and dining with no tickets, but then you're playing by the package rules where you have a final payment of 31 days out. You have a $200 deposit to secure the room rather than the room only deals. So what I would do there is, in that case, what I would do is do a basic package with dining, no tickets, and buy the tickets for those who need them a la carte. And then you'd be set. Right, man? I got that right? Yep. Did I pass the test?
Yeah, you did.
Always like the teacher's watching.
A++.
Okay, good deal. All right, Cody's got a question here in the chat. Love the show. Have a question. Going next month with a marching band. How cool would that be to go somewhere with a marching band? I'm picturing that old, what was it, that Starbucks commercial? Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Mike. That's a great commercial. Like I'm getting ready to do a quote and a marching band pops out like with the sousaphone. Whoa, do that, Mike. Get it going. Anyway, she's going to Walt Disney World with a marching band. Large group of kids. Okay, now I'm so, let's forget it. It's a large group of kids. That's why I got out of education. I'm so used to it. I lived down there and could take quick trips or my planned vacations that included planned resort time, aka naps. Okay, Cody and I get along great because I am the cheap napper right here. Let's see. This trip will be 4 days straight with 1 full day at each park, no hopper. What are some of your favorite places to sit down and shut your eyes in the parks? Well, apparently my wife has been texting back and forth. And just for the record, if I ever become president, there's 3 things I'm going to do. 1, I'm outlawing group texts. That is going to be outlawed because I hate group texts. And it's usually the 2 people that I'm talking to right now going back and forth for 97 texts that I'm still on in my Apple Watch is like, I gotta have surgery on my wrist because it's been buzzing so much. Anyway, so I'm going to outlaw 3 things. The group text, Coke freestyle machines, because those things make me rage. And the designated hitter in baseball. Those 3 things. Anyway, so back to her question. Pam apparently was sending pictures of me sleeping and all of us sleeping during Carousel Progress because we spent the weekend playing Time to Cut One at Walt Disney World all Easter weekend. We were putting groups of 3 together. Hopefully you guys did at home too. And we were cutting. So I did that with Paige and Pam. I said, okay, what are you going to cut? Pam gave me Pirates, the TTA, or the Carousel of Progress. She immediately said Carousel of Progress. And I immediately almost had to have a divorce. Like, I'm like, how do you cut the I thought I knew you. We've been together for like almost 20 years. And you want to cut the progress?
Like, but as soon as you told me, then I texted her and I'm like, what are you doing? And then she sent pictures. This is a picture you may not be able to see of me and my husband sleeping in Carousel Progress. And then this is a picture of Mike sleeping in Carousel Progress. And she said, she's the only one who stays awake and actually watches it every time, ironically.
I'm the only one too? Like, I feel like I'm the only one who stays awake too. That seems about right. Okay,
it's a security blanket. I mean, I do fall asleep every now and then, but it's there and I watch it. I mean, I might not see the whole show every time, but I see the whole show within a trip. Like it's just, I gotta have it. Anyway, so Rikki, give a couple places where it's good to catch some shut eye. We need Steve Forrester on.
In addition to Carousel Progress.
Yes, in addition to
exactly. Well, yeah, I mean, any show is where Steve Forrester gets basically a nap in. So I know we went a couple weeks ago. We were in PhilharMagic, and he's like, so I mean, literally like any show, just take that cat nap in. A place that I have like tried to catnap in before is Spaceship Earth, because it's dark, it's moving. Yeah, exactly. So that's a good one. Maybe TTA, but I mean, because it's moving, you got the wind going on you, it feels good outside, and I always like kind of am relaxed in there, so that's a good place. I mean, I've seen people just on a park bench just passed out. So I mean, if you could do that and that's perfectly fine with you, like find a park bench and just lay down. But there's a place over by where Wonders of Life was. Like there's like these, it doesn't seem very comfortable at all, but like there's these concrete benches, and I've literally seen people pass out on the concrete bench, and I'm like, how is that comfortable for you? But it is, so apparently. But yeah, so I mean, literally there's anywhere you can find a spot and it's kind of quiet and shady or whatever, I say take your nap there.
And Jennifer in the chat, I'm taking her citizenship of the United States of America away from her immediately. But she says, Hall of Presidents and American Adventure. What have you against social studies?
Oh my goodness.
I love it. All right. Well, good luck with that marching band and getting some shut-eye. That's going to be fun. Justin says, we're staying at Port Orleans Riverside in mid-July this year. Thinking of a water park day for arrival. Do we do Typhoon Lagoon or Blizzard Beach? We have a split opinion on this one. I like Typhoon. Pam, you?
I like Typhoon too. I just like the theme. I don't really get the Blizzard theme. Like I get it. I get what they're going for. But like if I'm going to be in the pool, I don't want to see ice cubes. I want to see palm trees.
Are we a mixed drink or what are we? You know?
Right.
And Rikki, why do you, because you do like Blizzard Beach. What does that have that Typhoon doesn't?
So I like Blizzard Beach because I do like the theme. I think it's a unique theme. It's different. You know, where else are you going to get to go to a water park where, you know, it's on the meltdown from this ice storm that happened? So I think the theme is very unique, and that's actually why I like it a lot. So that's my choice. But I did want to mention, I saw in the chat, just kind of following up on the Keys to the Kingdom thing, Heather mentioned that they rode Jungle Cruise. And yes, I do remember riding Jungle Cruise. That was the other one. I knew there was another one and I couldn't remember what it was. So yeah, Jungle Cruise is the other attraction you ride on the Keys to the Kingdom.
I think I might have too. And I think even the VIP or the guide took over and did this spiel.
They do. Yeah. Yes. I should have remembered that because when my brother was a Jungle Cruise skipper, I remember him talking about that. So yeah.
And I got to read this comment from Jennifer. It has nothing to do with Disney in the chat, but she says, "Oh my, OMG, my dad made me ride Screaming Eagle in the pouring rain in the front car when you didn't have a choice when I was 6. Didn't ride again until for 40 years later."
Yeah,
good, Jennifer. Yeah, that's scaring kids out of their wits in Missouri forever. Okay, next question. Mother's Day in Walt Disney World is from Michael from Rhode Island. Says, "Hey, be our guest podcasters, heading to Walt Disney World in May of 2019 with my mother, my cousin, who happens." With my mother, my cousin, and my stepdad staying at Riverside, which I know is one of your favorites, Mike. We'll be there through Mother's Day, and I wondered if Disney does anything particularly special for moms during that time. We have an ADR at Kona Cafe for Mother's Day brunch. Very nice. But looking for some other ideas to make the moms feel special on their special day. I love the show, and I love the energy and chemistry between you folks. Thank you, Michael. Rikki, what's up? Do we have anything for mom? I know it's still way early. As you know, it's a month.
Especially with Disney,
but yeah, what's
like
up?
These small things like Mother's Day, and I know Mother's Day isn't small, but you know, like for Disney, it's kind of a small activity. So I mean, they're not selling, you know, Mother's Day parties. That's basically what I'm saying. So they do typically offer special brunches. A lot of the Disney Springs restaurants will offer special brunches. And they'll sometimes have, like, of course, special cupcakes or desserts or things like that that you can pick up at some of the confectionaries and like Amorette's Patisserie and stuff like that. I do know, like, in the past, Disney would actually give carnations to moms as they walked into the park. I don't know if they still do that, but it was definitely something that I know that they used to do. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of what all that happens at Walt Disney World for Mother's Day. I mean, there's not really like a lot of things that they do specifically for Mother's Day. It's kind of like, here's a cupcake, which is kind of what they do for these smaller holidays. So, yeah.
Very good. All right. So I just had a comment.
And if you, sorry, if you do want some ideas, we do have a ways to celebrate Mother's Day on the Mouse for Less, like a article that you can find. It isn't updated for 2019 yet because Disney hasn't released any information for 2019, but you can get a general idea of what they did for 2018. So maybe that will help you out a little bit.
Sounds good. All right. Next question. Rikki, this is a good one for you. It's called Taking Grandma to Disney for the First Time. Hey, BOGP crew, my husband, 20-year-old daughter, and I have been to Disney World multiple times and are DVC members. My mother-in-law has been not so subtly hinting that she'd like to go with us sometime. I like that. We're thinking of taking her with us next year for a Christmas trip. My question is this: what tips do you have for taking grandma to Walt Disney World? She'll be in her mid-70s and is okay walking for a while, but will require rest more often than we normally would. We're good with a laid-back approach since we've been before. Thank you for your words of wisdom. Stephanie's up in Boise, Idaho, home of the blue turf and the Broncos. Rikki, what do you say? Because you did this with your grandma years back.
I did. Now, granted, my grandma was a little bit older. She was 94, so just a little bit different. But it's so much fun taking, grandma to Walt Disney World. I would absolutely, and I know she may fight you on it, but I would consider, if she's not super mobile, you do walk a lot at Walt Disney World. So you may want to consider renting a wheelchair or ECV or something like that, just because it's so much walking. I mean, it's a lot of walking for me, when I'm in my 30s. So, for someone in their 70s, a wheelchair might be a better option if they're not super mobile. But honestly, like it's so much fun to get to take a grandma to Walt Disney World. We did Yeehaw Bob with my grandma. She absolutely loved it. It was so much fun for her. So something like that. We do have a blog article on the Mouse for Less. It's called Visiting Walt Disney World with Seniors. It would be a good place to start to kind of see what to consider. But yeah, I mean, it really is. There's something so special about taking grandparents to Walt Disney World, and you're going to have so much fun. I mean, it is one of the best memories that I have of my entire life, of just in general, is getting to take my grandma to Walt Disney World.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you just got to slow down and just like let grandma to kind of dictate the pace.
Exactly. Yes. When she has. So that's key.
I mean, it's like when we took Pam, we went down and she was pregnant with Mallory. It was the best trip ever because we weren't in a rush for once in my life. God, it was great. And I thought it'd be, I'm like, oh, we're going to miss out. No, we didn't miss out. We had a good time. Pam, you've been down kind of in this situation too. So any tips?
Yeah, I have. And I agree. It's the same thing. I mean, we went with Steve's grandma and we got her a wheelchair because just, it is a lot of walking. And I think that just made it easier for everyone to do. But she really did everything. Mm-hmm. Like she rode everything and was wanting to ride it all. And I thought that was really cool. And I still have great memories of it. She was always one who was like, like not flighty. Like she would jump at things. Things would scare her. And when we went to see the Indiana Jones Sun Spectacular,
oh no.
She first of all did not want to sit in the front row because she thought that she might get shot.
That's awesome. Tell me she got up on stage and took a punch.
No, but we were in the back row, and at the end where everything explodes, she jumped so much she almost knocked her wheelchair over.
I love that kind of stuff. Me, I'm always jumping out at people.
And so it was just so sweet. I mean, really, she had such a great time and really enjoyed that. And we all have such great memories of her there. So that was nice.
All right. So the last question of the day is an unofficial one that I have. Pam, did you receive the 19th hole mix that we're wondering if is from the nut mix from Mizner's? Has anybody gotten their 19th hole mix from Amazon? Is that the right?
I'm not. Yeah, I didn't order it. But I looked like the right stuff to me, but no, I did not even order it. I saw it was there though.
Yeah, the bags were huge. Like
seriously, I know, right?
Dog food size bags. It was crazy.
I know.
I'm like, do I need $27 worth of nuts?
That's what I mean. Like, do I need the snack mix to be readily accessible?
Because I'll eat that whole bag. I guarantee it. I don't know if I need 10 pounds of snack mix.
Yeah.
Think all the soda I would drink. Because seriously, I drink a lot of soda, but I'd be dehydrated. So, Rikki, you missed out while you were in Paris. We had a question about. Yeah, we had a question about somebody wanted to know if they knew the kind of nut mix they have at Mizner's Lounge, and they're looking for it. And somebody said it was called the 19th hole mix on Amazon. So we were a lot of people said they're going to order it. So we need. All
right. Well, there you go.
We'll find out. All right, we're going to wrap it up here today. Thank you so much for the great questions. Send those into mike@beourguestpodcast.com. We love having you here, and thanks for your support of the show. Hey, if you don't mind this week, we'd love it if you go by iTunes and give us a rating and review. That really does help support the show. We've been doing this for 11 years. Sometimes those ratings and reviews do expire. So if you wouldn't mind just putting some kind words up there, we'd sure appreciate it over on iTunes. Don't forget, today's show brought to you by our friends over at virtualmickey.com, home of great iPhone apps like Theme Park News Disney Edition. And thank goodness Rikki is back to help with this ad, because what I was doing the last couple weeks, Rikki, I was pulling up the app and reading headlines. That's all I was doing. So, kind of crazy. So there you go. Rikki, what are we reading?
So I'm back, and there's big news that came out today, or at whenever you hear this. So Rivers of Light is changing.
Yeah.
They are updating the show, and it's going to be called Rivers of Light, We Are One, and it's going to include many of the aspects of the first show, like the imagery, the lantern floats, the special effects, score. The change is the new version to include 6 stories as well as Disney films. Disney,
Rikki's cat stepped on the internet line with his bad ACL.
Oh no! Seriously,
you were frozen in a very odd.
I couldn't hear you.
No.
That's ACL. But here's the thing: you got to write. They're adding, and then if you can go from there.
Okay. So they're adding. Okay, got it. All right.
I was cracking up because just like the pose that you were frozen in was like.
All right. They are adding Disney animated classics as well as Disney nature films. So the one kind of problem I think a lot of people had with Rivers of Light was that it was boring. So hopefully by adding some of these Disney animated classics and nature films into the mix, as well as like mixing in some of the Disney themes into the score, this will make the show a little less boring for everyone who's
still in that uncomfortable theater though.
Yeah, that's
is it still there? It's still there.
The uncomfortable theater is still there. Yes.
Oh, okay. I forgot.
You know, the least they could do would be put like backs on those benches. I mean, come on, would that?
There is no room to put a back. When you lean back, you're in the dude's lap behind you.
That's true.
You really are. You really are.
True. You are.
Yep, you're still sitting on the guy's lap behind you, but at least you're going to see a new show that includes Disney movies and stuff. So there you go.
I wouldn't say it was boring. I just said it was excitement deficient. So, a little bit. That's just my opinion.
Got it.
A little bit. Yes.
I mean, when I was watching it with Joe Rody in front of me, it was better.
Well, the first time we saw it, for some reason, it seemed better.
That'll make anything better. So yeah, I actually shared that video too.
It's funny. It is funny though. I think that it is a show area that has potential.
Yes.
And when they kept at the beginning, when they kept getting feedback that there weren't enough Disney characters, I think eventually you have to listen to it, right?
And let's say we all agree it's better than the Jungle Book thing that came before. That thing was horrible.
Jungle Book thing.
So bad.
Okay.
Rikki, you're breaking up, so I'm just going to close it up. Hang on, I write this down so I don't forget to edit it out. All right, well, that's going to do it for today's show. Wait, I already said that. So make sure to pick up Theme Park News Disney Edition. It's a free app for your iOS device. Turn your Apple device into it. All right, so check out these great stories over on Theme Park News Disney Edition. It's a free app for your iOS device. Turn that Apple device into a Disney device right now over at virtualmickey.com. Check out our Amazon affiliate link. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. You get all your Prime benefits, cost you nothing extra, and it really does help support the show. So check it out over at beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. Give us a follow on the social media. We're on Instagram and Twitter at beourguestpod and at beourguestmike. And of course, follow Pam with all her adventures over at TMFLT Pam as well. All right, we're going to get out of here and let's get on with your Wednesday. We'll be back again on Friday where we have a podcaster in Paris. We're talking about Rikki's Disney trip over to Europe. So we're going to have fun with that. So for Pam and Rikki, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Wednesday. Time to head back to work, and we'll see you real soon.
Okay, I'm heading out. I hope that Rikki's thing gets better, the connection.
Yeah, this is going to be a long night.
I just texted Pam. Those photos totally crack me up. I love that she has the
good. She's got evidence.
I know. I still like it though, even though I nap.
Me too.
All right.
I have
Awesome.
fun.
All right. Talk to y'all. Okay. All right. Bye.
Rikki, can you hear me? Facebook, we are back.
We
We're gonna
are.
talk about Rikki's trip, part 2.
Well, try
Right,
2.
That's
Trial number 2.
right.
Yes. Yes.
So
We'll start over. Just start over.
Because I deleted the whole thing.
That's good. I'm angry.
So thanks everybody who was with us earlier tonight,
Oops.
and a special bonus 7 o'clock hour on the East Coast.
Right? Not really a bonus show, just like just
A
bonus
better-
time.
Hopefully it'll work. Did you find out anything with your computer? Or-
Nope. I just restarted everything and it seems to be working, so that's a plus.
Oh, it just did it again.
Did it really?
Hang on. Yep. Hang on. Here's my screaming.
Oh no, that was Brian shutting the front door.
I was like, it's not like screaming in the background.
Yeah, I can get that. I can get where it would sound like screaming. Yeah.
A little bit. Okay, we'll try this. Hopefully it'll work.
I think it should.
Okay.
Should work.
Okay. All right. Let me get this down. 1477. All right. Welcome to episode 1477 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Friday to you. And as we always do here on the show, every Friday we're kicking off the weekend a little early with some fun Disney talk. And today we're going to talk to an American podcaster in Disneyland Paris. We're going to talk about a great trip over to Europe. Rikki has been gone for the last couple of weeks. We are so glad to have her back this week. Now, you know what? It's hard to get all three of us in the same place at the same time lately because Pam is now down at Walt Disney World this weekend at a social media influencer conference, which I think is so fun. I know. So she's going to have to learn how to do the duck lips, get in front of certain walls and, you know, do all that kind of stuff that the 12 do when they're unboxing the toys on YouTube. So when you see her, give her a hard time about that. No, follow her. She's at TMFLT Pam, and she's going to put up a lot of great stuff. But we have Rikki. She's star of the show anyway. So Rikki's joining us from a DisneyWorldAfterAll.com, touringplans.com, and the Mouse for Less. What's up, Rikki?
Oh my gosh, it is so good to be back. I missed getting to do this. So I am so excited to be back and able to talk about my trip to London and Paris. Yes, I went across the pond. I see London. I see France. You all know the rest.
Did you see? Oh, maybe I finished the sentence there. Yeah, I mean that's exactly that's how we think of Europe as a Missourian. I mean that's basically it. It's the end of a riddle.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So I think it's going to be fun because I want to take a look at this from the perspective of somebody that is a huge Walt Disney World fan, been there many, many times. I want to really dive into the Disneyland Paris stuff. But before we get into that, you know, it's going to be the majority of the show. You live in Atlanta, so you're very lucky that you're in a very, you know, you're in probably the best place in the United States to be able to catch flights internationally with Hartsfield down there. So how was it as far as planning in the logistics of getting from Atlanta to Europe? Because you didn't go to Paris, you ended up going to London, right?
I did. So the trip started because Brian and I had a conversation and he said, "Hey, I really want to run the Paris Marathon." And I said, "You are taking your wife with you, right?" And he said, "I thought I'd have to talk you into it." And I said, "You have met me, correct?" I said, "There's Disneyland Paris there." So that's how the whole thing got started. And when we were looking at flights, we were originally looking at doing like a 4 or 5 day trip to Paris. And the flights were just exceedingly expensive. So we were like, okay, let's kind of look at things. You know, London's not that far away, and the flights were actually relatively cheaper to London. So we're like, okay, well, let's add a few days. We didn't have to add that many days for vacation days. So we backed it up, and it ended up being like this 10-day extravaganza to both London and Paris. So that's kind of how the whole thing came about. Ironically enough, Brian didn't actually run the marathon that we.
Yeah, I was still hoping that he was kind of like the punchline of my joke. He was going to have to wee at mile 17, but it didn't come to it.
He did not wee at mile 17. So Brian actually got a little sick while we were there. He was kind of running. He said he was running a fever. I felt his head. I didn't feel anything, but he wasn't feeling like his best. And as those of you who run know, like when you're not feeling your best and if you have to run 26 miles, it's probably not the best idea to do so. So he ended up bowing out of that, which is, ironic given that that was the whole reason we went over there in the first place.
It sounds like it could be a verse to an Alanis Morissette song.
I know, right? Exactly. Definitely one of those. So, so we ended up taking out of Hartsfield Jackson. They do offer nonstop flights over to London. They also offer nonstop flights over to Paris too, but we got the nonstop flight over to London, and we did a red eye, which I have quickly learned that red eyes are not Rikki's thing. I've done a couple of them now, and I am like this little old lady. I have a really bad back actually, so well, I did the best that I could to make myself comfortable. So I made sure that Brian and I just had seats for the two of us, so that we can kind of spread out the best possible. I brought pillows for us. I brought blankets. I still didn't have like the best night's sleep. I was very fitful. My back kind of went numb. My legs went numb, that kind of thing, which is never really a fun thing to wake up and go, oh my gosh, my leg is my leg's not working.
My leg, it's like, I can't feel it. I don't know if it's mine or yours or what's going on.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've quickly learned that red eyes are not my thing, but maybe when I'm in physical therapy for my back, so maybe like when I actually get better, maybe I can do the red eye thing. But if red eyes are your thing, if you can handle them, they are a great way to get over to Europe, because we left at like 9 o'clock at night after having a very stressful day that day, because found out my cat needed ACL surgery, but that's beside the point. So I had that whole issue. So, but I was so spent that day. So we got on the plane at 9 o'clock at night and didn't land until like 11-ish the next day in London, which was perfect. I mean, that way we could sleep on the plane, get a semi-full night's rest, and then hit the ground running when we hit London, which is pretty much what we did. We didn't nap or anything like that. Once we landed, we were trying to acclimate to the time to the best of our abilities. So that was really when I was planning things, what I felt was the best way to do so, to acclimate ourselves back to the time of London, was to just kind of go full out. So.
And I know Pam was giving you advice by text message. I was in the group message, as we talked about on Wednesday. She's like,
yes.
Don't go to bed, stay up as late as you can. And
exactly.
She's done this many times. And let me ask you this: so, did you guys fly into Heathrow?
Yeah, we flew we flew to Heathrow. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So let me ask you this, because I think our audience is probably pretty evenly split. We got a lot of folks that travel internationally quite often. There's a lot of folks listening to us that do a ton of international travel, while I think there's a lot of us that are, in the United States and maybe have not, really flown internationally. So you're flying, for the first time into Europe, into Heathrow, again, never been there, never really gone internationally except for like cruises. What's that like? Because that just seems so exotic, like it seems so amazing race to land in Heathrow, like after a red eye. I mean, it just sounds like so cool.
So it really wasn't so bad. So the best tip that I have for anybody who has, like me, never been overseas, or even those of you who, are visit frequently, there is an app that I will tell you about that was my savior. I use this app so often. It's called the City Mapper. And what it does is it allows you to see the best way to get to the different locations that you are looking to get to around the city. It's not usable here in Atlanta, which is kind of unfortunate. But if you are in places like London or Paris, and because those places have such an extensive, tube or metro or bus schedules or things like that, this tool was so key in being able to get around. It tells you, when you actually open it up, it tells you the best way to get to the different places via things like walking, which, most of the time I was not doing that, or via, the tube or the bus or Uber or taxi or whatever. What was how much it would cost you to get to where you were going, how long it would take you to get there, what the schedules were for the tube or the metro or the bus or whatever that you were taking. It was a godsend. And if it was not for this app, I would not have survived in either country. And I will tell you right now, you need to download the City Mapper app when visiting other countries because it was amazing.
And that's why we're doing the show, because everybody can learn a little something. Maybe you already have it, but I mean, this could help somebody out. So, I really want to spend time on Disneyland Paris, but quickly, give us like 5 minutes of London. I know it's kind of not fair to do, but we focus on Disney. But I know we did some Harry Potter stuff. You're in this very exotic, city and country. I mean, I can't imagine how cool London had to have been.
Yeah, I mean, I took the tube for the very first time, which was so cool to get to do.
I've only been on the tube on the Disney Fantasy, so that's...
I've actually been in the tube, which was very cool. And I have some thoughts about the metro, which I will get to, which is Paris's version of the subway. But the first thing we did, because I am a big Disney nerd, we went to the Disney store in London because... duh. So I knew I had to go to the Disney store in London, and I picked up this adorable, you can see it here on the video. It is the Mickey Mouse. It says London, Disney store London on it. He's wearing his little hat and everything like that. He looks like he's out there protecting the queen. Oh my gosh. He's so adorable. So I had to go get one of those. But we did a lot of things. We went to go to Buckingham Palace, which of course is where the Queen lives. She was there, and the way you know that the Queen is there is the flag was actually up and flying. So we did get to see, we didn't see the Queen, but we did get to see Buckingham Palace, at least the outside of it. We went to a couple of just great parks and things like that. We did the London Eye, which is their Ferris wheel. So, they have the Orlando Eye or whatever it's called today. It's Icon Orlando or whatever they changed the name to. So we did that, which was a great way to see the city. Unfortunately, Big Ben is still under refurbishment right now. So while I did get to see the clock tower and things like that, the actual tower was being worked on. So that was kind of a bummer, but I kind of knew that it was happening. I want to give a huge shout out, by the way, to all the listeners who told me and Brian to go to this chicken restaurant called Nando's. Oh my gosh, it was the best chicken. Seriously, Brian and I keep talking about this chicken place. So for those of you who suggested Nando's, thank you so very much. We absolutely took your all advice. And so we went there and had dinner there. It was so fantastic. So that was just one thing. One thing that Brian and I were not super impressed with, though, was Westminster Abbey. And I feel like that's such, people are going to go, oh, clutch their pearls. But for the two of us, I felt like it was really expensive to go into Westminster Abbey. We didn't get what we should have out of it, I don't feel like. Maybe it was because we were in a hurry or whatever, because we did have plans for that afternoon, but I felt like Westminster Abbey just was not worth it. So that's kind of a bummer. But the big thing that we did, the thing that I was super, super excited about and ended up getting tickets to, which were very hard to do, was the Harry Potter tour. It's actually the studio tour in London. Now, what this is for Harry Potter fans, this is Mecca. I'm just saying right now. The Wizarding World of Harry Potter is amazing, and that's definitely awesome. There's nothing like it. But this is pretty darn close. So here in the studio tour, you get to see everything. You get to see props. You get to see costumes. You get to see set pieces that were used in the actual Harry Potter movies. You get to see animatronics that they've have built for this. Literally every piece of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter is here. Got to have butterbeer ice cream, which was awesome. Of course, I've had it in Orlando, but it was very special to get to have here. Got to see some behind the scenes kind of things of what they did. And I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil too much, but there are some animatronics that you wouldn't know were animatronics. I'm just gonna leave it at that. If you take the tour, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But one of the characters had some animatronic features sometimes. But the thing that was really cool was that they just literally that week opened up the Gringotts Bank, which if you've been to Universal Diagon Alley, you know you've been on the attraction.
I've seen it.
You go into the bank, and it is beyond realistic. I mean, you know, it's so beautiful and ornate, and they actually took what they did basically over in Orlando and they built it without the attraction at the studio tour. And it had, like I said, literally just opened up that week. So that's why it was really hard to get tickets. Well, part of the reason why it was really hard to get tickets. And it is exactly what it is in Orlando. I mean, almost to a T. They did such a fantastic job of building the Gringotts section of this. I mean, it looks exactly like it did in the movies and like it does in Orlando. And it was so cool to get to experience this part of the tour. And I will say there's a part that's right after that you are not going to want to miss, and make sure that you have your camera ready. It is so cool what they've done. And it involves the dragon, and that's all I'll say because I don't want to give away too much about this for anybody who may go on the tour. But seriously, this tour, it was expensive because I had to buy it as a tour from a tour company. But I'm telling you, it was 100% worth the money I spent on it. The tour company originally gave us like 3 hours to do this tour. I wasn't even done with half of it in 3 hours. We actually spent about 5.5 to 6 hours on this tour. I ended up Ubering back to the hotel just because I was like, I spent all this money for this. I'm going to enjoy it. So definitely worth the money if you're a Harry Potter fan. So that was really cool.
So, you know, me and Harry Potter, you know.
I know.
And George says he's glad that you enjoyed his country. So I love George, and it sounds like you did really enjoy. Joanna's question, because I know she's going on an ABD over to London and Paris very soon, 3 weeks. She wanted to know about the weather and like what to wear. She doesn't want to look like the typical tourist. So like, what advice do you have as far as, you know, being comfortable, not standing out as a tourist? What would you say to Joanne? 3 weeks.
Well, you're going to have a great time. Let me just tell you. So the weather when we were there was actually really cold. There was definitely a cold snap that happened while we were in both London and Paris. The temperatures while we were there were in the 50s for the most part as the high, which, you know, we live in Atlanta, Georgia, and it was, you know, close 70s and 80s while we were gone. And we're like, no. We missed the perfect weather. So, you know, that was kind of a bummer. Now, I think in 3 weeks, the weather in London and Paris is going to be a little bit warmer. It was rebounding right when we left too, which is the part that I was like, no. So I think 60s and 70s will be more what Joanne sees. The one thing that I kind of noticed about both London and Paris, but more specifically in Paris, is they don't really wear, you could tell tourists because the tourists were wearing jeans. They don't really wear blue jeans that much unless they're very stylized, you know, very trendy jeans in Paris. That's kind of what
you gotta wear like skinny jeans.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I noticed. Like
I'll never go to Europe. Sorry.
Exactly. No, like you could get away with not wearing jeans. It's just like that was like one of the things that I really noticed was they were very chic and very put together. And I mean, definitely not. It's not like we don't end up being chic or put together here in the States, but it was just. Mike's not. No, your baseball jersey shirts would definitely not fit in London and Paris. But other than that, I mean, you're going to be just fine. You're not going to look too much like a tourist. Plus, you're on ABD, so you'll be with a tourist group anyway. So you'll stand out anyway.
The flag may sell you as a tourist. And you're the best tourist because you're on Adventures by Disney. You're doing
exactly.
Right.
Yes.
All right. So. Because I don't want to, you know, spend too much.
Yeah, I know.
So transportation to get to Paris, how do you get there? And then walk us through arrival, because I mean, obviously you've learned about Disneyland Paris forever, but I mean,
I have.
You're at an international park now. So tell us about that.
I have. Okay. So we were considering taking the Channel. If you want to take the Channel, make sure you book your tickets early because by the time we actually realized everything, it was very expensive to book the Channel. So make sure you do that. We actually ended up flying because it was about the same price, and I was like, well, I could take the channel or I could fly over, and it was a much shorter flight, so I said, okay, we'll just fly. So the whole thing didn't end up being cheaper in the end, which I thought was funny, but at least I got to experience London, so that was good. Yeah, exactly. The one thing I will say is that, and I really, really, really can't stress this enough, Paris's metro system is terrible. Especially after coming from London, whose tube and bus system with the Oyster card. Oh, by the way, make sure if you go to London, and you're taking transportation, get the Oyster card. It is basically this credit card type thing that you put money on, that you just tap in, tap out of all their buses, all their tubes, everything that you go on. This Oyster system is amazing. It works perfectly.
Can you also buy seafood with it?
No.
You should be able to, but I'm just saying.
Paris, not so much. Paris has little bitty tickets that are, they're tiny and easily losable. And also, there are different. So there's different lines that you can go on. And in Metro Paris, there's the actual metro, and then there's the train part, which is outside of Paris, to get you outside of like metropolitan Paris city. The problem was that, first of all, the first experience I had on the metro, I actually lost Brian. Which was super scary because I'm now in a foreign country where I don't speak the language, and my husband is going past me on a train, and he can get off.
Are you kidding me? Shut up.
Yeah, no.
I hope you got video of that, because that had been awesome.
No, I did not get video, and I was panicking, and I was like, oh my God, there goes my husband. He's on the train with our luggage, and I'm off the train, and no one speaks English because it's France, which duh. But when you're trying to figure out where your husband has just gone and when he will come back, it's very difficult. That was super frustrating, and I'm really surprised I did not cry very hard. So like I was sitting here waiting. Thank goodness Sprint has a very good international plan, because we were able to text. So if you're going international, sign up for Sprint, because it didn't cost us anything to be able to text each other, which was great.
Or at least hold hands the whole time.
Oh my gosh, it was awful. Like he just couldn't get off the train. There were so many people that were just packed in the doorway that he could not get off with our luggage.
I can see Brian's big eyes like there goes Rikki.
It was more of my big eyes, because I was like, oh my God. And like I could not talk to anybody. Like nobody spoke English to tell me what was going on. So there was that panic. And then when we finally got to, so we were going to go to Disneyland Paris. This was my other like super frustrating thing. We were staying at a Hyatt downtown for London, or downtown Paris, for part of our trip, and then we ended up going to a Hyatt that was by Charles de Gaulle Airport. What we didn't know was, again, we bought the tickets for basically in downtown, traveling downtown Paris. We didn't realize, and we realized we had to change trains, so we understood that, but to change trains, we didn't have to buy a different ticket, because the train still uses those tickets for inside the perimeter. But when you get outside of things, that's when things change. And so we get to Disneyland Paris, and we didn't realize that the ticket, because you needed the ticket to get out of the train station, and we didn't realize that we needed a different / more expensive ticket to get out, because we had only used the one ticket to get through. And so we get to Disneyland Paris, and I slide the ticket through, and it says, no, you can't go through. And I was like, oh my God, like, what are we going to do? There was nobody to talk to. I mean, again, another situation where we went back down, the people only spoke French, so that and understandably so, but when you're at a place like Disneyland Paris and you're trying to get out and experience this park, this is not a very good way of your first experience there. There was no like information booth to talk to anybody of, hey, what do we do to get out, or anything like this. The information booth was on the other side, which of course we couldn't get to because we were stuck on the train platform area. So that again was super frustrating. Come to find out, we ended up finding these guys who were super shady, trying to sell us the tickets to get out. And I was just like, no, I'm not doing that. I'll figure out another way out. So we finally figured out another way out. So that was very frustrating. The metro system in Paris sucks. I did not enjoy the metro system.
Bottom line.
Yes.
Sorry for all of our French listeners.
I'm so sorry. I had so much frustration with the metro. And you really don't know until you've done this. So like, I'm glad I can share this information with people, but like nobody in all the blogs and all the articles that I've read, because I did a lot of research about visiting Paris and visiting London and, visiting Disneyland Paris, and none of the research explained this. So I really hope that I can help people who are going to Disneyland Paris understand how this whole thing works.
God, I wish you'd have been a camera crew following you. This would have been epic. I mean, just this trip. Holy cow.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So we got to get to Disneyland Paris.
Yes, I know. We haven't even gotten
I want to know about it. So, okay, the first thing I got to ask you was, I saw a picture of you, and I'm assuming that's the train station behind you, but it's massive. It looks like a gigantic hotel or something. Is that what that is? Is that the entrance to Disneyland Paris?
So that's the entrance to Disneyland Paris, but that's actually the Disneyland the hotel.
Hotel, okay.
So the hotel is right there as you enter. So you actually go under the hotel, and then you go through, and then you go under the train station there as well. And then that's how you get into Disneyland Paris. So yeah, it's really kind of interesting that the hotel is right there. And I know that there's been conversation about having, a Epcot hotel right there in front of Epcot. So in my eyes, it would be very similar to that kind of situation. They have obviously a number of other hotels at Disneyland Paris, which is part of why Disneyland Paris tanked so badly when it opened. We didn't get to go to any of the hotels just because, timing wise, it just didn't work out to get to experience those. But it's Disneyland Paris is different. I will definitely say Disneyland Paris is different. It's
when you arrived, because you've come up to Disneyland now, you've gone there, you've been to World many times. Like, you have in your mind's eye what you're expecting, so when you get there, was it like, whoa, it's more than I was expecting, or it's weird, or it's less? I mean, what was your first thought?
So definitely it's weird. The castle is Sleeping Beauty Castle, but it's different than the Sleeping Beauty Castle that's at Disneyland. It's much more ornate, much bigger. And their main street is exactly like, Main Street USA. I mean, it really is exactly like what we walk on. Now, the difference is, though, there are two side streets that are actually covered that walk along the sides of the main street, and you can choose to take those instead. We did that a lot of times in the evening as we were leaving because we did not care to see. I know I'm a terrible human being. I don't really care for fireworks shows, so I didn't care to see their illumination show, and I chose to leave the park. So we actually exited both times through the side streets, and they were the perfect way to exit. And it really makes me wish we had that as an option at Walt Disney World in a way. I know they kind of built that one side street, but I feel like they just don't use it very frequently. And it was a really nice perk to be able to walk through and not have to worry about the crowd so much. So yeah, it was definitely different walking into Disneyland Paris. They don't have all the lands that we have, obviously. They only have 4 of them. So it's Adventureland, Frontierland, Fantasyland, and they have Discoveryland instead of Tomorrowland. It's definitely an interesting experience walking through. The one thing I will say is, if you know the history of Disneyland Paris, obviously you know that the park kind of didn't do so well. It ran out of money, that kind of thing. So the things that they have done that they did really well are super ornate. I mean, you can tell where they spent the money because
what examples would you have for that?
So like the castle, I mean, it's so ornate, it's so gorgeous. They have the dragon that's an audio animatronic dragon that's underneath the castle, and it's fantastic. I mean, it is so realistic. If you didn't know that dragons didn't exist, this is the most realistic dragon. In Frontierland, it really does feel like a Western town. I mean, in the entryway, like they have this, it's kind of like Tom Sawyer Island that you're walking through, and that they have this walkthrough experience where you kind of you can wind your way through and experience, these basically back alleys and things like that of Frontierland. In Discoveryland, I mean, it is that Jules Verne experience of like what I really kind of wish that they would turn our Tomorrowland into, that the golds and the greens and the kind of rust orange colors and the stuff like that. Like it was like all the details were super finite. Main Street USA, the signage and everything, it was so realistic. It just felt like they plussed every aspect of our lands. They really did plus it and made it more ornate, more detailed. However, with that being said, there were parts that felt very bare as well to me. A lot of the pathways felt bare. The one thing that I really noticed that they did a lot at Disneyland Paris, the actual park, they did a lot of walk-through attractions, and I'm not sure if it's because they ran out of money, or this was pre-Fast Pass, so I'm not sure if like the team just thought, hey, you know what, we need something to do with all these people, so let's make these walk-through attractions because that's something for them to do while they're waiting for the lines to go down or whatever. But they have they did have the Frontierland walk-through attraction. They had a 20,000 Leagues walk-through attraction. They had a Aladdin walk-through attraction. Oh, they had this one area that looked like Agrabah. I mean, actually looked like Agrabah, like you were going into Aladdin. I mean, it was so crazy. They had the Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse, which was obviously the walkthrough attraction. And I can see where they got the idea behind the Tree of Life, because the tree just sits up there. And I mean, it looks like the Tree of Life, just a little bit smaller and a little bit different. There was the Alice in Wonderland Labyrinth walkthrough, where you go through these hedge mazes, and you see characters and things like that from Alice in Wonderland. So they were really big on the walkthrough attraction. And again, I just don't know if it was like they ran out of money or they did it for other reasons, but those things also made the park feel a little bare too, if that kind of makes sense. So
let me ask you this, because Tara's got a question in the chat, which I was going to ask as well. So as somebody who does not speak the language, not very comfortable at all with French, I mean,
right. No.
So how is it? I know that they have some English, but I mean, were attractions exclusively in French, or were they in English? I mean, how does that work as an American?
Yeah, so I mean, for the most part, the attractions were in French. There were pieces that were in English, like for example on Pirates of the Caribbean. The attraction was mostly in French, but they did, the song was partially in English. So there were pieces of that. We did. So they have Snow White's Scary Adventure, which definitely was more ornate than our Snow White's Scary Adventure. I mean, the scenes were. Okay, so you remember how they changed ours to make it a little less scary? This was the scary version. I mean, hands down, like this was the scary version. The witch was after you throughout the whole entire thing. Like this was the scary version of it. That was all in French. They had Peter Pan, or I didn't do Peter Pan because the line was, ridiculously long for Peter Pan, but they have Pinocchio there, which was also in French. And I've done Pinocchio at Disneyland, so I had an idea of what to expect, but yes, that was all in French. But of course there were some attractions that weren't in, like, didn't need to have like dialogue, so like those things were easy to understand and things like that. Obviously like Big Thunder Mountain, so the attractions overall, I feel like the attractions themselves for the most part are actually better at Disneyland Paris. Like if you take the attraction by itself and look at the pieces of the attraction, they are much better. Big Thunder Mountain, hands down, my favorite version of Big Thunder Mountain I've ever been on in my entire life. So what they do is the actual attraction is on an island, and you have to go under the water, and you don't realize that you're going under the water because it's all dark. It's all in this tunnel, but you do go under the water before you get to the island, and then you go around the island, and they have the end scene that they have at Disneyland where it's the dynamite and it shoots off and there's the explosion that I really wish that we get in Walt Disney World's version. Like, I wish so very desperately we'd get that. So I feel like that's a much better version of Big Thunder. Pirates, oh my goodness. Pirates is so much better at Disneyland Paris. Like, I enjoyed it so much. There are scenes in there. So they kind of took the idea of like the Blue Bayou. So you do float by a restaurant called Captain Jack's, but there are some scenes in there that are so spectacular that are before, you actually start on the attraction like we do in Walt Disney World. And they are so well done. I very, very much, I enjoyed the queue of their Pirates better too. You kind of go through this outside town, how you do like the outside dark, overhead. That was so cool. I very, very much enjoyed their attraction of Pirates. I enjoyed It's a Small World better, actually. I feel like they had more animatronics, more ethnicities were featured in this version of It's a Small World. I really very much thought that was a better version. Doesn't have the characters like Disneyland's version has, but that overall was better. They did have Hyperspace Mountain instead of Space Mountain. I haven't been at the one at Disneyland. This was the one where I think actually our Space Mountain is better at Walt Disney World. It does have some upside down parts to it at Disneyland Paris, but I feel like, so because they told the Hyperspace Mountain story, they had screens up, and I don't know if those screens were used before in their Space Mountain, but it really kind of took me out of the story because like I could see the screen, I could see that it was a screen, so like that, the glowing part of it. So like I didn't enjoy that very much. But Brian actually liked their Space Mountain. That was in French too, so that was a little difficult to understand because I was like, I kind of get the gist of what's going on here, but I'm not 100% sure. So that was a little difficult. But yeah, most of the attractions, they are in French, but you can kind of get the gist of things. So yeah.
That's awesome. So Lori's got another question here in the chat too. And I love that so many people are actually going over to Disneyland Paris soon. It's more
it's awesome.
It's really cool. She's asking, is it a 1-day park or is it multiple day park? Because I know you have a studios park as well, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we did is we actually did 2 days. I will be perfectly honest with you. If you get there at rope drop and go to the studios park, half day is really all you need. Not gonna lie. It really was a half day park. And we did almost everything at that park. And we even had an hour, almost 2 hour long lunch at Chez Remy, which is the restaurant right outside of the Ratatouille attraction that they have, which I'll be happy to talk about here because I know we're getting that. So we did basically a half a day, got almost everything done at that park, and then we did a full day in Disneyland Paris proper, and then we park, and then we did another half day. So after we left the studios park, we went back over to Disneyland Paris park and did that. So, and that was actually enough. Really, I was thinking I would need a third day, but we got almost everything done that we wanted to for the most part. There were a few things that we could have done that we didn't do, but I thought 2 days was actually kind of perfect. 3 days, I think, would be the max that you could spend over there. Yeah.
So Jacqueline's got a great story here in the chat. She's watching along. She says she went to Disneyland Paris in high school and she was excited to practice her French. When she got up at the food stand, she probably said, now I don't know how to read this, but Vondaloo les cheeseburgers. I don't know, whatever that means. And she said, and the cast member replied in plain English, would you like fries with that? She said, my French wasn't too great. But,
yeah.
That's a great story. But Matthew, who's actually headed to Disneyland Paris himself in August, asked about, this is kind of the thing at Walt Disney World now, and especially Disneyland. Like, is there a go-to snack? Of course, we got all these Instagrammable things to snack on the world. Is it the same way over there or no?
So I don't think it is. I didn't really see like the must-have snack over there. The only things that I wanted to try was actually it was in the Disneyland, the Walt Disney Studios park, and that was they are actually doing a Marvel experience right now. They're doing some special shows and things like that. It's like the season of Marvel, I think, is what it's called, that they're doing, and I did see that they had some special snacks for that, which we did try. They had a all chocolate, like it was like a chocolate bar of the awesome mixtape. They had a Groot, or yeah, it was a Groot. It was a Groot. Like it was like a cookie thing that was really good. That was filled with caramel. And that was excellent. And the thing that I thought was really good was they had a macaron. No, yeah, macaroon. Oh no, I said it wrong. I'll always say it wrong. I know one is the one thing and one is the other, but they had one. A macaron, I think, is the one that they have it. It had like a stamp of like Captain America's shield on it. That was actually really good. I very much enjoyed that. So but there really aren't like many snacks that I saw that like were super like I had to have, which was kind of disappointing to me. I did see there was a crepe, a stand that sold crepes in Disneyland Paris park. I think it was the Old Mill, which is kind of a awesome name for it to have, given that that was the name of one of the shorts that Disney did. But they had crepes, and that line was super long. So if you want a crepe, get in line for that. They do have them there, which is obviously one of the things that's special for Disneyland Paris. So,
And we're getting crepes in Epcot.
I know we are. I'm so excited. I had the most amazing crepe along the river in Paris. So if that's what this tastes like, I'm really excited about it.
Nice. All right, so we're down to 10 minutes, and I got to ask,
gosh,
you kind of hit snacks, but dining, how hard is it to do, is it all like snails and all that junk? I mean, what'd you eat? Like what did you eat besides snacks in the park?
So I will say, and I don't know if it was the restaurant that we went to or what, but Disneyland Paris definitely has a counter service problem. Their food's just not great at the counter service locations. In addition, the setup is not great, especially the restaurant that we went to. I forget the name of the place that we went. It was in Frontierland. It was Mexican, and so the problem was that they weaved you in and out instead of how we have the stalls that you go to at Walt Disney World. You'd think they would have learned that the stalls work, because this was literally a line that wrapped through, and then you went to whichever one was open, whichever cashier was open. It did not work. We waited at least a half an hour to order our food, and that was awful. That was terrible, like a terrible experience. We were hungry, we were starving, we were cranky, and we just wanted food at that point. The food was good that we ate, all things considered. But I don't know if was at all, like that way at all the other restaurants, but that one was terrible. But Brian really wanted the food there because it smelled really good. And like we were waiting in line, and we've been in line for like 20 minutes, and he's like, I'm sorry I got in this line. So like it was one of those things.
Well, I mean, you're committed at that point.
I know, we were totally committed. The other place that we ended up eating was we did go to Chez Remy, and that was over in the Studios Park. That was excellent. So what they did there is they do basically prefix meals. So you have to choose your basically an appetizer, an entree, and dessert. And there are two different prices depending on which meal choice you choose. So if you get the fancier meal, it costs a little more. If you get the other meal, it costs a little less. We had a carrot soup, which was excellent, very, very good. I had a fish, which was also very good. It's served with ratatouille, of course, because you would expect that, right? And then it was served with dessert, and I had a tiramisu. The restaurant is so adorable because like, you know, it's got all the oversized things, like you're the size of a rat while you're eating there. So, you know, it's got the oversized tables, it's got the oversized plates. I mean, you know, that are decorations and things like that. Like, it's got, you know, an umbrella, like the tiki umbrella in one of the tables, you know, that was next to us. The chairs feature like bottle caps as the backs of them. But one of the cool things was we actually got seated so by the window, which is the exit for the Ratatouille attraction. So that was really cool because we got to see everybody leaving the attraction, which was really neat. That food was excellent, though. We really enjoyed our meal at Chez Remy, and very much think that that's a good stop for people to go to.
All right, so the final question for this, and we'll obviously we'll talk about this over the coming weeks, you know, here and there, because there's so much more to share. But you did Ratatouille, right?
I absolutely did Ratatouille. I did it twice. I made sure.
You know, we're getting close to that here at Epcot, which I'm super excited about. You know, it's getting closer and closer. So, thoughts 1 to 10. What'd you think?
I loved it. It is going to be a fantastic addition to Epcot. So the attraction basically and now granted, it was in French, so I don't know 100% what is happening. I mean, I have a general idea based off of like what I'm seeing, but so the attraction, if you've been on Spider-Man at Universal Islands of Adventure, it's very similar in idea behind that. So it weaves you through the story. It's much gentler, though. I mean, it's not nearly as rough. But you go through the story and you are trying to follow Remy as he's, you know, in the kitchen of the restaurant. And of course, as things happen at Disney, something goes wrong. You know, the guy finds Remy and tries to chase after him and things like that. So if you've seen Ratatouille, it kind of goes along the lines of the movie a little bit. It was really, really cool, though. They had all, like I said, it was kind of like Spider-Man in that, like, there's physical set pieces and then there's the screens. It is a 3D attraction. I'm going to assume it will still be 3D when we get it. There are some smells in there that are really cool. There's one smell that really stands out to me, and it's actually a smell of bread, which I thought was really, really unique. I really liked that. And I hope that makes its way over to ours. And yeah, I really like the attraction. Like I said, it's going to be a fantastic addition to Epcot. And I am very curious to actually see what happened like in the attraction when it's in English. So
you're like, I was laughing at that and they're just making fun of Americans.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it's really cool. And a couple of other highlights from Disney Studios Park, just to talk about those real quick, is they do have Rock and Roller Coaster. It's a little bit different than ours. Their pre-show is like that. I mean, it's like it's not the same. It's like 30 seconds long, and I was like, this is it. But the ride is actually really cool. They still have right now their backlot tour. So I got to ride the backlot tour again. Now, granted, it's in English and in French, so like Jeremy Irons is the English version of it, and it's totally dated. Yeah, it's really dated, and it's definitely going. But really, the whole point of the attraction is to go to Catastrophe Canyon, and then that's kind of it. I mean, that's kind of the whole point. Crush's coaster is cute, but it's really just a Wild Mouse coaster. I didn't think it was as outstanding as everybody else seems to think it is. I thought the first half of it was really cool, but then, you know, it really just turns into a coaster in the dark inside a Wild Mouse coaster. So I thought it was just okay. And really, like, that's kind of it. That's kind of all they have at the Studios Park. They do have a Toy Story Land. It is not like our Toy Story Land. It is definitely off the shelf rides, and they are very slow loaders. So if you want to experience any of those attractions, do those kind of first, because it will take forever. So our Toy Story Land is heads and tails better than theirs. So even without the shade.
So as we wrap this up, I mean, it sounds like you had a really good time. I mean, it was fun to explore something that was brand new to you, which is always exciting because, you know, we've seen the other things a lot, but you still, I guess you would still rate World and Disneyland and then Disneyland Paris behind it. Right?
Definitely. Yeah. Eventually someday I would like to go to, Tokyo and experience those parks. It might be a while as of right now, like, because one thing that I'm worried about is the thing that I got a lot while I was in France was language fatigue because of the fact that I don't speak French, and it was so difficult to try to communicate. Like it really was very difficult. So I'm curious to see how that would be going over to Japan, because obviously I don't speak Japanese. So like I'm wondering if that would affect me at all as hard as it did in France. So if anybody's been to Tokyo and has experienced those parks, let me know, because that's like definitely one of the things that is on my bucket list, but I'm still a little concerned about now that I've been to one of the parks where they don't speak English.
Niblet, international podcaster of mystery.
I know, right? Yeah, baby.
Exactly. We missed you here, but I'm glad you had a good trip over there, Brian, as well, and you guys got back together. It's a good thing you didn't lose each other. And
after that, I was like, "You stay here."
One heck of a romantic comedy, if you'd have not hooked up. So, yeah, and George says you just hire Messiah when you.
That's right. That's a good call. Yes, definitely.
I love Messiah. I miss her. All right, well, we're gonna wrap this one, but I think this is a great introduction for people going over, and of course, people can reach out to you, right, if they have questions about Paris.
Absolutely. Feel free to reach out. We did lots of things in Paris too. Did the Eiffel Tower, did Musée d'Orsay, did a ton of things there too. So I definitely have some tips and things like that. Also, make sure you're following along on the Be Our Guest podcast Instagram. I've been posting pictures all week of my trip to Disneyland Paris. I kind of wanted to settle down and really kind of digest everything and then start sharing the pictures. So so those are going to be up, or those are already up on the Instagram feed too, so you can kind of see what the park is like.
All righty, well, don't forget today's show brought to you by the great folks over at the Magic for Less Travel. So when it comes time to head to your next Disney destination, whether it's Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Universal, or even Disney Cruise Line, can't wait. Hey, drop by the magicforless.com, check out all the great specials on the page. If you're going on a cruise, we talked about that at the top of the show. They got all the itineraries listed right there under Disney Cruise Line, all the specials for Walt Disney World, Disneyland as well. They book Universal. Just drop by, check out all the information. While you're there, fill out that free, no obligation quote form, and an agent will get back to you right away. Costs you nothing extra. They're always hunting those discounts for you, and they're going to make sure that you have an awesome time. So check them out today. Let them know you heard about them here on the Be Our Guest podcast. As always, they're over at themagicforless.com. When you do some online shopping this weekend, thank you so much to everybody who uses our Amazon affiliate link. And if you never have, please do use the link. It helps support the show. We thank you so much for that. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. Give us a follow on the social media. We're on Instagram and Twitter at Be Our Guest Pod and at Be Our Guest Mike. And give Pam a follow down at Walt Disney World this weekend. She's at TMFLT Pam, so check her out as well. Also, we got a great Facebook page, facebook.com/Be Our Guest Podcast, and a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. We're
everywhere. Oh my gosh. Wow. Mike, you and I have been on together way too long.
Too long. And if you don't mind this weekend, iTunes ratings and reviews, we sure appreciate that. Thank you so much to everybody who's done that. And if you could do that this weekend, we thank you in advance. All right, we're going to get out of here and let you get on with your weekend. Thank you so much for being a part of the Be Our Guest Podcast family. We love having you out there and taking the time to listen to our shows. And we're always going to keep doing these for you. We love it. So for Rikki and Pam, I'm Mike, wishing you an awesome weekend. Whatever you do, stay safe. And we'll see you real soon. Now that worked perfect. That was a good show. So Tara had a question real quick about the wait time. Can you tell her real quick?
About what? About what?
She was asking about the average wait times.
Oh, okay. So download the Disneyland Paris app. It works just like the Walt Disney World version, where it tells you the wait times of the attractions. So that's very helpful. For the big attractions, the wait times were typically, in the hour and a half range, especially Big Thunder Mountain. That one was typically like 80 to 90 minutes almost all day. It did get a little bit shorter as like the last, because we always did it as the last thing because the lines were always just so long for it. And they do have Fast Pass, but it runs out really quickly for the most part, especially at Big Thunder Mountain. So, and there's not that many attractions that have Fast Pass there either. So the Studios Park has more than the Disneyland Paris park has, but so use the app. It'll tell you, but for the most part, most attractions that I saw had waits about the 30 to 40 minute range. And then the big ticket ones had about 60 to 90. So yeah, it wasn't too bad though.
The Cardinals are pitching to Christian Yelich again. This dude has hit 8 home runs off us already this year.
Well, stop watching the game.
And that's when just so you know, if you ever see my head go like this, it's because the Cardinals game's on.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, thanks. That worked out perfect. So you settle in and we'll talk because we need to get ahead by 1 or 2 for sometime next week. Because I'll be the next Monday.
Okay.
Oh, we got him out. We got him out. Yeah, we got Yelich out. It's a national holiday. Thank God. All right. I'll talk to you later. Tell Brian I said thanks.
All right. No worries. I'm going to go eat some chicken.
All right. It's not the London chicken, is it? You didn't bring it home.
No, man. I wish that place were here. I would be all over that place. We did tell, I would have assuming was a manager, hey, might want to open up a place in Atlanta. They do have one in Washington, D.C., I think, and a few other places. But I was like, Atlanta is the place. We'll gladly go there.
He's in St. Louis.
It was so good. The place reminded me of Sanaa. The feel of the restaurant itself, it had that exact feel of Sanaa. It was so crazy. I was like, am I at Disney?
Colorful, Sanaa's very colorful.
Yeah, it was very colorful, and it had the clay pot type thing and everything like that. It was really, really cool restaurant. I very much enjoyed Nando's. So yeah.
All right. Well, hey, I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Super cute though, with the little Buckingham Palace hat.
I love him. Did you see the ears I got? Oh my gosh, you'll have to look. I have the cutest ears that I bought. I'll wear them at some point. They're adorable. They're so cute.
I'm out.
All right.
See you, Facebook.
See ya. Bye.
Bye. See George. See everybody. See Dennis, Tara.